I'm Jeanne Pansard-Besson. I'm an opera director and librettist, and Cheryl, Frances-Hoad, composer, and I have been working on writing a new piece for opera, a new opera, based on the figure of Penelope, with two singers, Samantha Oxborough, who first sung the first aria we wrote together at London National Opera Studio, and with singer Karima Al-Demarche, who's now studying at the Guildhall in London, and with actress Lucy Riddiman. And it's based on Margaret Atwood's novel, The Penelopiad, which was written a while ago now, and we're thinking about its reception and how we can think beyond it through music and words, of course. And so we've been researching this and developing this the past 2 days here at the JDP Theatre at St Hilda's in Oxford. And we are researching ways to think about all the questions that are raised in the text, especially the part of the 12 maids, as Margaret Atwood calls them, but slave women, as they've been recently translated by Emily Wilson. So it's sort of raising all these questions and turning it into a new work that we're hoping to then take this material and write a fuller opera with it.
So for me, one of the most fascinating things has been bringing the character of Penelope to life in music. There's so much complexity in there. And it's just a real dream for a composer, to have such a complex character to play with. It's been wonderful working with Samantha Oxborough again after all this time, after a couple of years when I wrote the original aria for her. And we've played around with it. I've added another voice to the original aria, and it's fascinating. And one of the most wonderful things is hearing Jeanne direct and hearing her tell the singers what I had in my head, but it hadn't been realised in words. It was only in music at the time. And so it's, I think it's just a real case of trying to distill really complex characters and different viewpoints in one person into a vocal and musical and harmonic and melodic line.
did. I set up a large piece of weaving on my loom and said it was a shroud for my father-in-law, Laertes, since it would be impious of me not to provide a costly winding sheet for him in the event that he should die. Not until this sacred work was finished could I even think of choosing a new husband. But once it was completed, I would speedily select the lucky man. Laertes was not too pleased by this kind thought of mine. Once he heard of it, he kept away from the palace more than ever. What if some impatient suitor should hasten his end, forcing me to bury Laertes in the shroud, ready or not, and thus precipitating my own wedding? No one could oppose my task. It was so extremely pious. All day I would work at my loom, weaving diligently and saying melancholy things like, "This shroud would be a fitter garment for me than for Laertes, wretched that I am, and doomed by the gods to a life that is a living death." But at night I would undo what I had accomplished, so the shroud never got any bigger. To help me in this laborious task, I chose 12 of my maidservants, the youngest ones, for these had been with me all their lives. I had bought them or acquired them when they were small children, brought them up as playmates for Telemachus, and trained them carefully in everything they would need to know around the palace. They were pleasant girls, full of energy. They were a little loud and giggly at times, as all maids are in youth. But it cheered me up to hear them chattering away and to listen to their singing. They had lovely voices, all of them, and they had been taught well how to use them. They were my most trusted eyes and ears around the palace, and it was they who helped me unpick my weaving, behind locked doors, at dead of night and by torchlight, for more than 3 years. Though we had to do it carefully and talk in whispers, those nights had a touch of festivity about them, a touch even of hilarity. Melantho of the pretty cheeks smuggled in treats for us to nibble on. Figs in season, bread dipped in honeycomb, heated wine in winter. We told stories as we worked away at our task of destruction. We made jokes. In the flickering light of the torches, our daylight faces softened and changed, and our daylight manners. We were almost like sisters. In the morning, our eyes darkened by lack of sleep, we exchanged smiles of complicity, and here and there a quick squeeze of the hand. Their yes ma'ams and no ma'ams hovered on the edge of laughter, as if neither they nor I could take their servile behavior seriously. Unfortunately, one of them betrayed the secret of my interminable weaving. I'm sure it was an accident. The young are careless, and she must have let slip a hint or a word. I still don't know which one. Down here, among the shadows, they go about in a group, and when I approach, they run away. They shun me as if I had done them some terrible injury, but I would never have hurt them, not of my own accord. The fact that my secret was betrayed was, strictly speaking, my own fault. I had told my 12 young maids, the loveliest, the most beguiling, to hang around the suitors and spy on them, using whatever enticing arts they could invent. No one was aware of my instructions but myself and the maids in question. I chose not to share the secret with Euryclea. In hindsight, a grave mistake. This plan came to grief. Several of the girls were unfortunately raped, others were seduced, or were hard-pressed and thought it better to give in than to resist. The shroud itself became a story almost instantly. Penelope's web was called. People used to say that of any task that went mysteriously unfinished. I did not appreciate the term web. If the shroud was a web, I was the spider. But I had not been attempting to catch men like flies. On the contrary, I had merely been trying to avoid entanglement myself. The master strategist, Odysseus, said, "Not yet. Do not wake her. Call the women who made those treasonous plots while I was gone." The old nurse did so. Walking through the hall, she called the girls. Meanwhile, Odysseus summoned the herdsmen and Telemachus and spoke winged words to them. "Now we must start to clear the corpses out. The girls must help. Then clean my stately chairs and handsome tables with sponges fine as honeycomb and water. When the whole house is set in proper order, restore my halls to health. Take out the girls between the courtyard wall and the rotunda. Hack at them with long swords. Eradicate all life from them. They will forget the things the suitors made them do in secret through Aphrodite." Sobbing desperately, the girls came, weeping, clutching at each other. They carried out the bodies of the dead and piled them up on top of one another under the roof outside. Odysseus instructed them and forced them to continue. And then they cleaned his lovely chairs and tables with wet, absorbent sponges, while the prince and herdsmen with their shovels scraped away the mess to make the sturdy floor all clean. The girls picked up the trash and took it out. The men created order in the house and set it all to rights, then led the girls outside and trapped them. They could not escape, between the courtyard wall and the rotunda. Showing initiative, Telemachus insisted, "I refuse to grant these girls a clean death, since they poured shame down on me and mother when they lay beside the suitors." At that, he wound a piece of sailor's rope round the rotunda and round the mighty pillar, stretched up so high no foot could touch the ground. As doves or thrushes spread their wings to fly home to their nests, but someone set a trap. They crash into a net, a bitter bedtime. Just so the girls, their heads all in a row, were strung up with a noose around their necks to make their death an agony. They gasped, feet twitching for a while, but not for long. Odysseus told his beloved nurse, "Now bring me fire and sulfur as a cure for evil things, and I will fumigate the house. And call Penelope."
Which girls did they harm? You wanted to kill them all. I had to choose some, otherwise all would have perished. Which ones? Which ones? 12. The ones who'd been rude, Melantho and Co. They were notorious whores. The ones who'd been raped. The ones who'd saved me. The ones who'd been raped. Because of me. Penelope the wise. Because of me. It's my fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. Now come downstairs. Your husband is waiting. Waiting? Waiting? Waiting. Which ones? Which ones? 12. The ones who'd been rude, Melantho and Co. They were notorious whores. The ones who'd been raped. The ones who'd been raped. The ones who saved me. The ones who saved me. The ones who'd been raped. Because of me. Penelope the wise. Because of me, it's my fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. Now come downstairs. Your husband is waiting. 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 No sooner had Odysseus returned than he left again.